awful lot written about and talked about in terms of California's lack of affordability, but I wanted to talk to you about your research specifically when it comes to how millennials are affected.
Right.
And this is a real challenge, a real problem for millennials these days in California in terms of being able to afford a house. How bad a problem is it for them?
Well, it's one of the worst states in the union for millennials buying houses. It's affecting the birth rate, it's affecting the economy. Companies are having trouble holding on to people, particularly as they get into their 30s and they start families, they want to buy a house. In their 20s, it's not quite as big an issue. So, but millennials aren't always going to be 20-somethings. They're now increasingly becoming 30-somethings. And when that happens, their needs change. And I think that's really where the crisis is really getting bad.
So supply is a serious problem.
Huge.
But in terms of the millennials themselves, they have a hard time because of college debt, because of lack of good-paying jobs. What are some of the...
Well, there are certain things that are generally true nationwide, and I talk about those, the income issues, the college debt. I mean, that is not just in California. It's just in California the issues are worse, just because our prices are higher and our regulatory environment is more hostile.
So there are these popular misperceptions out there about millennials, not interested in owning a home,
right,
not interested in living in the suburbs. What does your research tell us?
Well, the research says when people get in their 30s, they start moving to the suburbs. I mean, it's just the way it is. And even among the 20-somethings, most of them live in the suburbs still, in part because they can't afford to live in the urban areas.
So if you could point to a few solutions here. I know that part of the solution has to do with encouraging cities and counties to encourage more development itself, but is there anything more that can be done either at the local or the state level that you would point to?
Yeah, I would think, one, we should figure out some way to use redundant commercial space and turn that into, particularly townhomes, townhouse kinds of developments. The state and the country is going to be filled with strip malls and some malls themselves that are redundant. People are shopping online. They're not going to be using brick and mortar, and you can drive almost anywhere and you can see that. So there's certainly one opportunity. And I think we're going to have to do what Brown and his acolytes won't want to see, which is build housing out in San Bernardino and Riverside and in the Central Valley. You could build it nicely, you could build it sustainably, but you're going to have to build it. If you don't build it, if you're going to say all you're going to have is high density and we're not going to allow you to build new single-family homes, people are going to go somewhere else for them.